I have two images this week, and I'll start by explaining the first one. This past week we did our Civil War test, and my students again improved both blocks. The morning block went from, again from the last one, a 78 to an 83 average to an 84 average. And then my afternoon block went from a 71 average to an 86 average to an 87 average. Excuse me, please. Please excuse my bored dog. The second image, I actually have a poem to go with. And this brings in my whole, or this begins to wrap up my whole journal. So the road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road is gone, and I must follow if I can, pursuing it with eager feet until it joins some larger way, where many paths and errands meet, and whither then I cannot say. The road goes ever on and on, out from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road is gone, let others follow it who can. Let them a journey new begin, but I at last with weary feet will turn towards the lighted inn, my evening rest and sleep to meet. So I will go back to just giving an overview of last week and what I'll be doing next week, which is my final week. We began doing, of course, after the test, we started with reconstruction by doing stations that were focused on the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. After we finished that, we started on a technology lesson dealing with PowerPoints, and I want to see how well these help the students retain the information in a way. Of course, the question, or the official question, is much better worded than that is. And these are on the two Reconstruction policies. Johnson's Reconstruction policy, which was closer to Abraham Lincoln's policy of what he wanted, and the Radical Republicans, which is the policy that we learn most about today. So that will go into tomorrow, which they will present their PowerPoints as an opening statement to debates, and the class is divided into two large halves. So they'll do their opening statements and inform the other side of their point of view or their policy, and then they'll debate, which I really want to get a video of. After that, we will review on Wednesday, so we're back to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday scheduling for social studies, because this is essentially their last week of social studies instruction. And then on Friday, we'll finish up with a test and another notebook evaluation. So I will be probably staying until 5:30 on Friday to make sure all the grades are in, and I can leave any loose ends tied up before I go, since that's my last day. So going back to my journey image, I was looking over all my entries and realized that a large theme that they had was that they were hopeful, which is an entirely different theme from last semester, which was not great at all. And these entries for this semester, I never lost sight of getting these students ready for the SOLs. That was my big thing, because I felt like they're not going to get this test done, or, well, they're not going to do well on it. And having seen the results of the grades going up, and the kids actually understanding it, and seeing them sometimes get excited about the things that they're doing, like the PowerPoints that they were doing this past Friday, or working on this past Friday, and a student came up to me and said, "Ms. Payne, I know exactly what to say if they ask me this question about my policy." And she was really into it, and even though she hated the side I'd put her on in the first place, and she didn't agree with it at all, we talked about how you learn most about something that you don't like if you are forced to look into it. Or I was telling her to keep your friends closer and your enemies closer. Or to keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Sorry about that. And it was good to see her that she could argue any side just because she could put herself in someone else's shoes. And that's always a great thing to see. So now that my placement is over, my biggest feeling is that, or where I am now, is that I need to finish this. I need to be able to show others the things that I've done this semester, which is hard for me. I feel so natural in the classroom and doing the actual planning for the instruction and doing the actual instruction and getting the feedback and starting the cycle all over again. It's so much harder for me to analyze that process. And I can do it mentally, but actually showing someone else my analysis is much harder than it should be. So I need to be able to create that evidence. Or I have the evidence, but be able to reflect on it and show someone else my reflection of it. And let's see, before I even got into this program, or thought that I wouldn't get into this program, and I was applying for teaching positions, I now realize that back then I knew practically nothing about actually being in the classroom. And after being in this placement, I feel that I could go into any classroom on whatever my first job is going to be, and I will be completely at home. I will be able to create the classroom that I want to have, no matter who the students are, or where I'm placed, whatever age, anything, that I'll be able to do it. So, in conclusion, this means that whatever I believe in, number one, I finally believe in myself, that I can teach whatever I need to, and I can teach anything. And second of all, being in this placement has really driven home that I can believe in the kids themselves. And that, well, I guess I can take this back to my image that I chose, that I think I can see a little bit further around that bend than I could before. And it does have a lot to do with knowing that I know I can work with these kids, even if they, no matter where they are, where they're from. I think I've seen enough variety of those that want to learn, those that don't, and those that can't in the classroom setting, that I can work with any of them, and I want to work with all of them. And so that when I return home, I will be taking a lot with me, and I'll be able to make a much larger difference in my own community than I would have if I had not been in this program in the first place. So, where do I go from here? I reflect my butt off and finish this thing out the way I'm supposed to, which I will.